disrespect in the NBA has intensified following Draymond Green's provocative comments on his podcast. Green argued that while current players are expected to show deference to previous eras, former players frequently disrespect today's athletes. This sparked a heated discussion about the complex dynamics between NBA generations and the various factors contributing to this perceived tension.
People say you must respect each era, but the past eras don't respect this era.
I don't think that's true.
You don't see some of the things these guys say?
The respect.
I disagree in the fact that, no, like these eras don't respect us. Like I've seen several guys talk over and over and over again, not in a positive light.
Stephen A. Smith offered a more nuanced perspective, pointing out that Green's argument missed crucial context about why veterans might feel disrespected.
Most players think about those things, the old school guys. They think about the advantages that these guys have, something as simple as travel. You understand how you could travel first class, how you could travel chartered jets, how you don't have to have a second job in order to make money, or they think about all these things. And they're like, you have any idea what we went through to have to perform? And you just want to ignore all of that when it comes to us? Nah. And that's what I'm saying. So it's not that Draymond doesn't have a point. It's that he's leaving out where the disrespect emanates from and how, to some degree, it's instigated by some of the modern-day players because they got their bag and there's an absence of deference and respect that they have for those who paved the way for them. That's just racing. If they look at it now, rule changes, no hand checking, the absence of physicality that exists now compared to what once was. The road traveled was far less arduous than it is now in their eyes. And they're saying, if these brothers had to go through what we went through, and so when they're hearing these players talk, they expect to hear that level of appreciation. And when
the frustration from former players often stems from modern athletes not acknowledging the groundwork laid by their predecessors, from collective bargaining agreements to dealing with intense media scrutiny without today's platforms. These pioneers faced challenges that created the foundation for current players to earn generational wealth and enjoy better working conditions. The discussion highlighted stark contrasts between eras that fuel this tension. Modern NBA players benefit from chartered flights, load management protocols, and superior medical care, advantages their predecessors never had. Players from previous eras often had to work second jobs, flew commercial airlines, and sometimes played 3 games in 3 different cities over 3 consecutive nights. As one Hall of Famer confided to Stephen A. Smith, they believed Steph Curry wouldn't have averaged more than 17 points in their era, not questioning his skill, but referring to the more physical nature of the game and less protective officiating that players had to endure. Chandler Parsons' recent comments about Giannis Antetokounmpo illustrated this divide, suggesting that players from the 1970s would have arrested Giannis for playing the way he does today. This highlights how veterans often consider the advantages of modern training, medical advances, and rule changes when evaluating today's players. The old-school perspective isn't necessarily about diminishing current talent, but rather emphasizing the different challenges they faced. Chris Mad Dog Russo raised an interesting counterpoint, noting that many legendary players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Larry Bird haven't actually criticized today's players. In fact, recent controversies were initiated by current players. LeBron James suggested Giannis would dominate in previous eras, and J.J. Redick dismissed past players as plumbers and firemen. This prompted defensive responses from veterans like Jerry West, who took exception to having their era diminished. The physical toll of the game has changed significantly. Previous generations played through more brutal conditions, typically completing full 82-game seasons without the benefit of load management. They endured more physical play with defensive strategies that would be considered flagrant fouls by today's standards. Veterans often express that if modern players had to face similar conditions, their performance and longevity might be significantly different. Monica McNutt suggested that part of the solution might lie in creating more opportunities for meaningful dialogue between generations. Outside of the NBA Top 75 celebration in Cleveland, there haven't been many forums for players from different eras to share experiences and perspectives. Stephen A. Smith proposed that much of the tension could be diffused if today's players simply acknowledge the toughness of previous eras with statements like, "I'm glad I wasn't playing during your era. They'd have mugged me." The conversation concluded with an observation about how this generational debate seems more prevalent in basketball than other sports, though some panelists disputed this claim. The key insight emerged that both sides have valid points. Today's players deserve recognition for their remarkable talents and evolution of the game, while the pioneers who created the modern NBA's foundation deserve acknowledgement for establishing the conditions that allow current players to thrive. The solution may lie not in determining which era was better, but in fostering mutual understanding and respect for the unique challenges and contributions of each generation.